G'day listeners and welcome back to another episode of the Keeper League podcast. We're the AFL Fantasy podcast that doesn't talk about the superstars. We only talk about the less knowns and the players who bring value to your draft and Keeper League teams. My name's Heff, and this week we swapped out Matty D'Sena for his brother, Matty D'Sena. Some would say the superior D'Sena. I don't really know. What do you think about
that? Mum and Dad wouldn't say that, but I definitely would.
I've met your old man before. Yeah, he does. I think he loves both of you equally. I don't think he can split between the two of you. Yeah. Anyways, how you feeling, mate? How's your weekend? The Hawks are flying. You must be happy.
Yeah, going well.
Yeah.
Hawthorn 4-0. So
how'd you feel after the first quarter?
Yeah, I was assuming there was a massive wind.
There was a massive wind, yeah.
And yeah, I thought we'd see how we go, and then I didn't think they'd be in front by half time the way they flew home. So
that win was actually something. But it's weird because then you scored against it more than they did, and then they outscored you in the last quarter.
Yeah. So I think Sammy, he's even last year I noticed, first quarter we might get blown out, and then he sort of flicks the magnets around or they do stuff. So felt the coaching staff's pretty all over it, and they teach them sort of how to remember more chain up rather than kicking long. So
must be nice having a coach that can make some tactical moves on game day and fix things up. But
well, you got Kari, mate. Who's running the show down there?
Let's not talk about our actual team so far. Let's talk about the more important stuff, which are our Keeper League teams. I've in 2 leagues, 3 games in, haven't lost a game yet in either league. So the
lovely.
Dynasty and the 12-man keeper. So I'm going all right. How's your teams going?
I had my first loss on the weekend.
No. What happened?
I got Dacos on a bye.
Yeah, that'll do it.
A few of my boys just had bad matchups. I captained Newcomb instead of captaining Zorko because I thought it was going to piss down at Brisbane. I thought Newcomb loves it down there.
Yeah.
And then saw Bedford was sort of running next to him. So, I only lost by a couple of points, but is what it is,
Yeah, that's fantasy.
Bounce back, so.
Yeah, 100%. That's fantasy. My team went all right. I did have Jack Steele as well. Donut still got up by 50-odd points. So the other guy actually had Jaeger Mira. So I lost Steele and then he lost Jaeger Mira in the last game. So it kind of evened out in the end, although I would back Steele over Jaeger.
Definitely.
Anyway, Jaeger's been going all right. What else do I need to plug before we start? Oh, yeah, doing that YouTube show with Checkers, which I mentioned at the top of the show. So make sure you check that out. I'll put a link in the description or something like that, or just head to Marmalade Oz on YouTube, and I should actually start plugging that one. But anyway, let's get into the round review. We'll start off with the Essendon versus Port Adelaide game. And what an absolute fucking shit show that was.
Yeah, great to watch. Great on the eyes.
Yeah, no, I reckon it's been described as one of the worst football games I've ever watched by many, many people. So
yeah, it's shocking.
Terrible. Speaking of terrible, Dylan Shield was copping a rocket. I think there was commentators saying that he should never play again after last week. They pulled him out of defence, moved him back into the midfield and scored 97 points. What are your thoughts on this? Is this the direction that Essendon want to go? What do you reckon?
Nah, surely not. Especially when you got blokes like Hobbs and Sardis and those young fellas coming in. You're going back to Dylan Shield.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not too sure on that. And you'd be spewing if you've picked him up thinking he's going to get defender status, and now he might.
That'd be awful.
Be mid only.
There are a lot of people out there that did that.
Yeah, definitely. Got a guy on my league, kept him in his 12 purely just because he'd be a defender.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe Alex Sexton 2.0.
That's what I called him earlier on. But So the thing is as well, like Parrish, I don't think he returned during the VFL. I did look at the state league scores, but I didn't see him.
I didn't see him in there either.
Unless he played minimal game time. So I'm not sure what the go is there, whether he plays next week. I think El Hawley probably gets a full game, just the love fest they were having for that, even though Disposal was a bit shaky, but it's still no worse than Dylan Shield. So
Perkins and Sardis, I think they're still 1 or 2 away.
Yeah,
probably,
okay. So he might be all right for a week or so. But interesting times if you're a Dylan Shield owner. But at least he scored okay for you this week. Jade Gresham, 95 points. I think he's probably a stream for the next couple of weeks with Langdon and his Langford with his hamstring. Playing further up the ground, higher forward. I think he even started on the wing at a few centre bounces, kind of like what Langford does.
Yeah, he had bulk tackles. I think he had like 5 or 6 tackles in the first quarter. So
that helped him out.
Great for him. I think he was sub the other week, was he?
Yeah, first week.
So he's probably got a bit of fire on the belly. He wants to play that role. So definitely one to watch.
Archie Roberts, 94 points. He's scoring well on the wing so far this season. Probably loses that DPP though at the end of the season, which is a bit annoying.
Definitely. But I like the way he goes about it, Archie. And if he can sort of just get those cheap +6s and keep rolling up, big fan.
Tip of the cap to Zach Reed with his 83 points. He just worked off Soldo, who was absolutely useless. Got a few extra marks.
Wouldn't be too hard to
yeah, exactly.
run the other way.
Just got a few extra marks and worked off him. Got a few possessions that way, but don't count on that one each week. Ben Hobbs, I gave him a rocket on TikTok. Did you see that one?
Nah, I missed that one.
Got quite a few comments from Essendon supporters who don't really love Ben Hobbs by the sounds.
He's on the outer, which is
yeah,
a bit of a shock to me. I rate him, especially his numbers in the VFL. He's a monster. He's just obviously not playing that role.
And he started pretty well in this game, but then faded as well. So
and he got a little got a staging fine as well.
Did he?
$1,500 for Boki tackled him and he held his head.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But if you watch the replay, his head actually goes into Rosie's knee.
Maybe it was something to do with it. But anyway, I think he's in a bit of trouble, Ben Hobbs.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with Parrish around the corner, Sardis coming back, Perkins. I reckon they want to play in there over him. It's not really short, and Langford comes back. That kind of kicks him out the forward line.
He's not really getting a chance though. Like he's playing half forward. He's playing low time on ground. Yeah, I just think I'm not really sure what they expect of him. If he's going to play him as an inside mid, he has to play at that level, that role at some level. Or if he's a half forward, then he's a half forward.
I don't know if Brad Scott knows what he wants from his team. To be honest, whether he's rebuilding, whether he's challenging, like what are they doing? Like they're treading water.
Well, they were younger team than Port Adelaide, weren't they? But I think if you look deeper, it's because they don't have anyone over 30. Yeah, so it's like their team's actually.
Yeah, we do have a 40-year-old running around, so that brings the average up a
bit. And mine's is,
30. Yeah. And then we talked about Sard El Hawley before. Very lively off halfback. The disposal could use some work, but like the hype he was getting, like he needs to have a full shot next
Definitely.
week. So.
The way he kicks the foot is interesting.
Yeah.
Just the helicopters. But
that
run and dash and break the lines and exactly what that broke. The game was pretty even, I would have thought. Yeah. And then that sort of just broke Port Hearts.
Yeah, 100%. They do have a bye next week, so you're going to have to wait another week before you see him. But just keep that in mind when you're thinking about waivers and stuff like that. Onto the Port stuff. Miles Bergman, 104 points. I think we're seeing a spread of points in Port's backline since Houston.
Yeah, Farrell's been very good as well.
Yeah.
So,
but he was down this week, but he was good last week, So I think he did cop a knock at some stage though. But I think we're just more so seeing than one player directly being benefited. You'll see Logan Evans pop up one week, Miles Bergman. It seems to be like, and then obviously Farrell as well. They can't seem to all be like popping up here and scoring.
Yeah, well, Logan Evans got 30 this week, and then last week got like a 70 or 180. Yeah, okay. 100. Yeah, wow. So it's just we take your pick.
Yeah, exactly. Roulette. Miles Bergman's probably been the most consistent though, because I think he's gone 70, 80 something, and then 100 this week. Okay. So
definitely.
And he's in a contract year. Probably going to get traded next year. Port will probably want to make him look really good so they can try to get a few first rounders back.
Probably straight swap for Wanganeen Malira, would have thought.
Well, that's one of the talks. I've also heard, this is the stupidest one I reckon I've heard, Zach Butter's straight swap for Jamara Ugle-Hagan.
Yeah, well, you need a forward, but I would have thought you'd throw in a couple first rounders as well.
You guys seem to go pretty well without a proper key forward. You've got the Chol up there, but
big Choley and Gunston still rolling around. Wait till Deer and Lewis are back. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, but even so, like even Deer, like he's a first year player.
It was a pick 70 or something.
Yeah, it's like his father's son. But like, my opinion is a good game plan will make your key forwards look a lot better than they really are. If you can get the ball to them and all that sort of stuff, and just lay it out on a platform.
I think it's as well with I'm seeing a bit of a trend with high half forwards. Really working their socks off, getting really high up the ground. That creates a space for your tools just to lead into, and you're not cramped and you're not jumping on each other's heads.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Port as well. They're trying to play a faster style of football, but they're kind of overusing the handball. Plus, they've got probably 5 or 6 players that just aren't built for that style of game. Like your Darcy Burn-Joneses, your Travis Boakes, Ollie Wines. They're not fast attacking players. They're really gritty in and under kind of midfielders or tackling forwards type things, pressure forwards. And there's probably a bunch like that we just can't execute. Like I'm happy to see Port trying something different, but I don't think it's going to work with the list that we've got.
Hurts with Lukosius getting injured as well.
That's true.
He's a big part of that, I would have thought.
Though we've got Ollie Lord that's just not getting a game.
True.
Yeah, a bit weird. Christian Moraes, onto some of the good stories of Port, I guess. So 93 points, playing out in the wing. I liked him as a junior. Now, you didn't have him in your top 15, did you?
Nah, I didn't. He was on the cusp. I was honorable mentions.
Yeah.
He's a hard... what I like about him, he just runs hard. Yeah. And he works his socks off.
Yeah.
In juniors, I think he was averaging like 85, 90 as like a half-backer. So
I talked him up heaps in the drafty analysis guide, but didn't have him in my top 15 either, I don't think. But I did early But me just being a coward and no one else talking about him, I was just thinking maybe I've got my port goggles on.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why.
Did you see his debut video? He was even surprised he got named.
Yeah, exactly.
The other week. So
talked about that last week. I actually met Christian Race at training a few months ago with my son, and out of all the port players that actually like most of them just like got their photo, moved off, didn't really want to be there. He was the only one who like stopped and asked my son his name, like
had a chat,
who his favorite player is, all that sort of stuff. Like he's just a really nice guy.
So you want him to go well?
That's 100%. Like he's probably my favorite port player these days because there's not many that I like anymore. But anyway, Travis, too many Hinkley fans out there, that's players included. Travis Boak, 82 points, playing on the wing a bit as well. This is probably the other thing as well. Was it just me or was Burgoyne playing on half-back this game?
It looks like he's back there a little bit.
Because looking at the wings at the centre bounce attendances as well, he wasn't really there all game from what I saw anyway. So
Moraes and Boak.
Yeah, that's it. And then Mead plays as well. And that's kind of like their rotation as well. So like that's just an interesting watch for some DPP, especially if you play the AFL Fantasy version after round 6 or whatever it is.
Yeah, it was at 35%. It's their cap.
Yeah, so I reckon he was on like 35% cap on the halfback flank this week. So hopefully that continues because I don't think they put Moraes back there. I think they keep playing him on the wing. So that could push Burgoyne to that DPP.
Definitely.
And that's super bloody handy.
Massive for Burgoyne as well if he's going to get defender status.
Yeah, it's because he's scoring hundreds each week at the moment.
Will he get 112 this week?
Yeah, back-to-back hundreds.
Look good.
It's probably too good for the podcast. Oh, he is too good for the podcast, actually. But Boak was out in that wing as well, so that kind of, changed a few things around. I think Boak could get forward status at some stage, though, as well.
His chance. I think in round 1 he played a little bit more inside,
Yeah.
and Mead was a little bit more on the wing, and then now against Richmond they sort of swapped it.
And then he went forward. Yeah, went forward a bit more. So it's a bit interesting. It just needs to do it consistently for 6 weeks. But anyway, let's move on to the Carlton versus Western Bulldogs game. Brody Camp, tip of the cap team, 5 goals, 5 points.
Actually, he has an unreal set shot. Like,
100%.
He looks so good.
I used to love him like as a defender because he'd pop up as an 80 like every second or third week, really, because he was taking some marks. And so he take marks, kick goals. Like he's probably good to have up forward. Nick Haynes, 89 points. He's kind of known for this at GWS. He'll pop up and take 10 marks off halfback and score like this.
Look good.
Adam Chera is probably too good for the podcast again.
Yeah, he had low time on ground as well, Chera. But then when he was on, he was like the second leading disposal getter or like points per minute or something huge. So yeah, I would say he's probably too good for the pod. Yeah, we'll make him too good for the pod. Jack Silvani's probably stuck up forward now. He was on, I think he played on Norton a fair bit. Down back, I think.
Didn't he kick goals though? Can't remember. Anyway,
one of them.
Yeah. Anyway, with Mackay out as well.
Because then Kemp went forward, and Silvani was sort of playing on Norton a little bit. So, and I think Kane Corns was ripping him on commentary, saying, "Is Jack Silvani's beating you, and you're going to be a star or something like that." So, yeah, no, you're right. He probably was in defence a bit more there. I don't know, but. No, I didn't even have a shot. I don't know what I was watching. Last week he went forward. Maybe that's what I was thinking. So again, with Mackay out and that, he's rotated. He could be defender forward stats, but he's sort of moving back and forward. You can't really get that consistent game from him if you want the good 60s, 70s that those sort of backliners get. Yeah, like I said, still scored 75 points on the weekend, so he's scoring okay. Sam Davidson, everyone's been talking about him, just kind of on that wing. Up and down all day, lots of possessions. Just worked again, sort of like Moraes, just like absolutely just works his socks off. Yeah. That's what I like about mature age players. They sort of, they've got a bit of footy smarts about them, but at the same time, like they're grateful to be in that position to get drafted. Yeah, 100%. And he just absolutely just a workhorse all day. Yeah, absolutely. 3 tackles, 10 marks, 20 kicks. Can't ask. Just kept falling on his lap. Had him on the bench in the classic format. Yeah, so did I. I was hoping Bailey Smith was going to be allowed out. So get him. Didn't get the points there. Yeah. Sam Darcy, 99 points. I think man. He's too good for the pod. Too good for the pod, I think. Way too good. He's a freak, mate. As we said in the pre-season. Well, I need to apologise to the coaches that had him in their top 100 ranks because I was like, he's good, but he's not top 100 good. But he is top 100 good. He's top 100 he just finds a way, just pluck a mark out of nowhere, and then that leads to a set shot. Yeah. Well, what I liked about it the most was in his draft, he grew like another 5 or 6 centimeters, and he was sitting at like 208. And I was like, his reach to be able to mark a footy is just ridiculous. He last week against Collingwood, Darcy Moore was at full stretch and couldn't get anywhere. And Darcy Moore played an unreal game, and Sam Darcy still kicked 4 goals too or something. So yeah, he's he just finds a way. So he's probably going to be. I reckon he'll be the best key forward fantasy player in the comp. If not this year, very soon after. Definitely.
on to some other players. James Harms, 88 points, kind of wing and forward. Current wings just aren't scoring. Like Akers has been shit. Doherty's doing nothing, and I reckon the opposition wings are just running them
running an absolute mark.
So I reckon that's kind of helping.
Akers he was very solid for like 80, 90.
That's what I thought. I picked him up in a heap of leagues this year, but no good. But yeah, so maybe even think about wings against Carlton because they seem to be going okay. Bailey Williams on the other wing. He also got 82 points as well. Good. So another one there. Bailey Williams is one of those guys that's never too good for the podcast, but like it's just always around the mark. You know what I mean? So
he's always handy when he gets that DPP because some years he's had forward or defender status. But if he's mid only, you sort of just leave him on the waivers.
When I think about him, though, I think of him as a wingman. Yeah, so he's generally 100%. There. Riley Sanders, what do coaches do with him? So 72 points. Actually got centre bounce tendencies this week.
Bevo.
So he got more than Fraser did this week.
Yeah, okay.
Fraser would spend a bit more time out on the wing as well.
That's probably a bit of a concern, I'd say. Fraser out there.
I just want him on the halfback flank. Just getting easy kicks like he was in the preseason.
Yeah, give him the role, give him the keys, just let him. But they got Bailey Dale. Bailey Dale got shut down a little bit, so I would have thought Fraser would be the main man.
Yeah, well, they're kind of playing different roles though. That's the thing. So like Fraser's playing in the midfield on a wing where he's not getting many touches. Well, he's rotating the wing. I think he got 7 CBA, so it wasn't as much. But
so he's all over the place.
It was a bit crazy.
Same with Sanders. Playing that high half forward, rolling his extra mid, gets the CBAs.
So the thing is, though, we've got Treloar and Bont coming back. Bont could be even a week and a bit away. Yeah. I saw Louis do a funny tweet where he just kind of, I think it was Mitch Cleary. No, who was it?
John Ralph.
John Ralph, that's right. Just took the piss out of him.
Ralphie took it well as well.
Yeah, no, classic Ralphie. But yeah, like Bont could be back at gather round. So that might push Fraser back into defence.
Hope so. Definitely hope so.
Because they could probably replace Harvey Gallagher, who's not really doing anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he's more of a lockdown role.
Yeah,
Gallagher
exactly.
sort of just been a little back pocket.
Yeah. That's that game from there. Let's go to Melbourne versus Gold Coast Suns. Ed Langdon, 108 points, just wing this week. Only the one centre bounce. He's still capable of performances down the wing. It just won't be as consistent if he's not playing that inside role.
Yeah.
But that inside role is changing so much. Like Trent Rivers is like firmly back into defence.
Yeah, and I would have thought he was going to get bulk CBAs.
Yeah. But then Harvey Langford came in this week for 75 points. So it's just good to see him given a full game and used in the midfield.
Yeah, looked very good. He led Melbourne in clearances and contested possessions, Langford.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a great sign that, he's going to contribute because I think Track, with Jefferson going out, I think Track's playing a bit more forward. Yeah. But also he's getting CBAs. I don't know, Melbourne they look a bit off.
They're
just not connected.
They're almost like Port a bit. But yeah, so like Harvey Langford, just don't make him sub, don't play him in the VFL. Like
just let him play.
Rebuild and
Well, they played 6 debutants in round 1. So to me, that's sort of admitting that they are in a rebuild. Yeah, exactly. But then when they perform so well against Giants,
then they're like,
everyone's like, maybe we're... Yeah. And then against North, they got blitz in that last quarter. So
and Jake Bowie, I reckon, has to be too good for the podcast. Lost all his kick-ins with May coming back this week and still scored 98 because he was just lots of +6s everywhere. He's a good user, so he's good around the ground. I'm just like, if he doesn't have like, I'm just worried that like a few players coming back or, if he doesn't have like a standout performance like he did this week, he might be sacrificed a few points if he doesn't have those kick-ins anymore.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Anything. Like he had a rip a game.
Well, if Rivers is back there, Salem's back there, May's back there, Bowie's back there.
McVee's going to come back. He's probably not the possession guy, but it's just another body in the defence.
I think he's definitely one to obviously keep, but you just have to watch who comes in that role and where they're playing. And
I just get that feeling. There's always a few guys that look really good in the first few weeks of the season and then kind of taper off. Yeah, I feel like he might be one of those guys. That's all.
I hope not.
Anyway, we'll see. Bailey Humphrey,
looked good.
93 points. Rotating in the midfield with Took. So Took somebody could actually get forward status.
Yeah, definitely. I reckon he kicked 3. He's starting as that high half forward and then rolling into the extra mid. But
hopefully they kind of swap their roles a bit. I hope Humphrey becomes like the main inside guy and it's just like Took becomes like the pinch hitter because Took's done that role in the past.
Yeah, I think Bailey Humphrey's he's a contested little beast in there and it works with Rao. Like Rao looks so good. Yeah. Noah looked good and then just gives him such great balance and Flanders just popped up.
Because like Rao can be that clearance guy because we saw his run out of the centre, like how good he was.
He's got speed now,
apparently. Yeah, it's so fast. Just absolutely.
Those little legs just fucking...
Clayton Oliver in his wake. And then you've got Flanders who's more of the kind of flair, like the guy who can do like the not going to be the in and under guy, but can deliver inside 50 or like, weave in between traffic and stuff like that. And then you got Humphrey, like just like the grunt guy getting tackles and stuff like that.
Pops up with a goal.
Yeah, exactly. So and can go forward as well. So I reckon I'm hoping that's their best 3 midfield mix. Took spends more time forward. But yeah, like Bailey Humphrey, like he should have been 100. Like he dropped a sitter up forward as well. That should have kicked the goal there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's going to move into the midfield probably full time in probably 2 or 3 years time as well. And he'd be one of those players that like loses probably his forward status long term, but you'll get a season where he averages like 90 to 100 and have forward status.
Yeah,
before
definitely.
losing
So
it.
that could be either next year or the year after.
Yeah.
And then that's the year you want to actually be ready to go because after that, you probably never see him in the forward line again.
Yeah, correct. And Ben King, 83 points. He's very close to too good for the podcast. I think he's still under 60% owned on Keeper.
Yeah, I've just put a request in for him this morning.
Yeah.
Just because Gold Coast, they're going to win heaps of games, I think, and then they're going to be like those easy goals. And he had 3 goals, 3, I think it was, something like that. So 6 shots on target against May. Obviously, Lever wasn't there, but yeah, I think he's going to be good for those 70s, 80s, 90s most weeks.
I think I've said it every week, but if Gold Coast are going to be good, he's going to be good.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
so it depends what you think.
And Walter and Reed there as well, so they're pretty tall.
Help him out. Yeah. St Kilda versus Richmond. Hugo Garcia, 110 points. You reading anything into this? Because Jack Steele was missing.
Well, he looked good.
Yeah.
Was sub last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, no Steele, so obviously he's taking that role.
Yeah.
But I think he's got potential.
Yeah.
It's just whether he's going to continue that role when Steele's there and McRae's there.
Mentioned this on the Waiver podcast, but Hugh Boxall had a huge VFL game.
Yeah,
as
massive
well.
VFL.
So,
He's like a 120, something like that.
Depends what they do this week. But I feel like if Jack Steele wasn't such a late out and they knew he was injured earlier, we could have actually seen Boxall come into the side over.
Definitely.
I guess Travalia coming in because he was just there. He was in sub,
he was
like
sub,
something.
so you just rolled in.
While he was playing VFL, so they probably couldn't bring him in. But yeah, just an interesting one with Boxall, so have a think about that one if he's on your waivers. Max Hall, 89 points, kicked a couple goals. Is he a consistent scorer? Because he was good round 1 against the Crows as well, or is this just Richmond factor? Or a bit of both?
Bit of both, I think. Yeah, I haven't got him. I think he's on the waivers in our league.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's going to get those 80, 90s every now and then. If he's kicking goals, he's working his socks off, so he's going to be probably around that mark and then have a couple of ceiling games. But then you expect it when he's going to have a 40 or a 50. So
Are Saints in the top 4 at the moment?
I think so.
They're close, I think.
They'll be up there.
Yeah.
I think it's... Well, Giants were undefeated till they...
Yeah, so they're 2-1, they're 3-1.
Hawks are 4-0.
Yeah.
I think Brisbane are 3-0.
Trying to think of the margins. Yeah, too big. No.
I think that maybe the round 1 game will... The percentage will hurt.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. No, but I'm just thinking like, is it inflated as to how they've been playing? That's all. But no, he's definitely got something there, and given his list as a 40, he's definitely worth a punt. So
definitely.
Yeah. What do you think of Toby Travalia's game? Only had the 63 points.
He looked all right. Did a few nice things. He got a big 100 in the VFL last week.
Yeah.
So
he didn't look out of place.
Yeah,
he didn't put up the big score because he was a huge underage scorer. Where was he in your ranks? He was up there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in my
top 10.
Yeah, definitely.
So I thought it was just encouraging just to see him play at the level and look comfortable.
Yeah, it's just, and he's not going to get the role that's probably going to be as favourable early on.
Yeah.
So he just did what he had to do.
And it's so hard when you've got Nazai Wanganeen, Miller, Sinclair that are kind of very similar type players in there, but pushes them up to probably the wing a bit more. But
definitely. Just he'll be a lot more outside, I'd say, to start until eventually he can find an inside role. And you'll see 60s, 70s of marks.
One of your calls from the start of the season was Camden McIntosh
moving
into the midfield, so 100 points. What have you thought about his role so far, and can it kind of be sustainable?
He's missed a fix-it, really.
Yeah.
I've seen him in the ruck. I've seen him tagging Crips. I've seen him playing on the wing. I've seen him in the CBAs. I just think Richmond don't have many big bodies to run through there. So
and just senior bodies too.
Yeah, and Taranto got tagged on the weekend.
That's going to happen each week.
Yeah, so Camden, I think he's gone 70 and 70, and then he's popped up with 100.
Yeah.
So he'll be like that most weeks, I think.
He's M7 probably. Like he's
definitely on your field for M7.
Yeah.
So just one to look into. I think he's only 37% owned in keeper.
Yeah.
Before the weekend, so they'll probably go up if he gets 100. But
yeah, I think I looked this morning. I think it was up now.
Yeah,
because I don't think he made the threshold for the pod. But have to double check that one. Jacob Blight, 92 points. Kind of flagged this in the preseason. Like Richmond just kind of can't really attack, so they might chip sideways a bit, and he might he's kind of like at the Crows. What's the big Irishman in defence?
Mark Keane.
Mark Keane. Like they chip sideways, and he'll put up good scores every now and then because he's just involved in the
switch
swap. And then Blight's kind of similar. So
yeah, he had a few ruck contests as well.
Yeah, okay.
Blighty, so
Blight was forward last week though, so that's what spooked me.
Yeah,
so
and then he was full back this week. So
strange. But just kind of maybe one you could stream. I don't know how many early games Richmond are going to be getting on Thursday and Friday night.
I think they're Sunday night specials.
Exactly. So might not be able to loophole, unfortunately. Jack Ross, 87 points. He's been up and down so far this season. Playing on the wing in this game, I think that's just probably stock standard Ross.
Yeah, I was thinking he's going to get inside time this year, given what we said about McIntosh and the team before. But
the first week he started forward, but then moved up to the contest from there. This week he was more outside this week, so it's really hard to get a read. I think Richmond are just trying. We'll just try things all year.
They'll just flick the magnets around.
Yeah, see what they can do. Where was Luke Traynor in your rookie ranks? Did you have him in there?
No, I didn't have him in.
78 points.
He's scoring quite well, actually.
Yeah, he is.
I just think he's a key position, so I didn't.
Yeah, he's not the type for fantasy, is he?
Yeah, but like you said, with Blight, if they're going to be chipping it around and lots of marks in transition, get the ball field position. So
that won't last forever, though. That's the thing.
No,
like Richmond will try to actually attack. Like you see it with all the shit teams. They even North, like they work on the defense first and kind of try to stem the bleeding as much as they can, and then holding the ball, making sure the opposition doesn't have it as much as they probably could have, and then they start to attack 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I was looking at West Coast yesterday, and the way they were moving the ball was just
they're trying. They've got to do something.
Guys are running for overlaps, and they're not giving them because they're just thinking, I don't want to turn the ball over. So
it's probably something to do with a new coach as well. But anyway, Hawthorn versus the Giants now, admittedly. So I fell asleep during this game. So I didn't see this game. And I think I saw the first half. I didn't see any of the Brisbane Lions game. So just preface this. But luckily I've got a mad Hawthorn supporter who probably watched every kick and possession and handball and tackle and everything. So I'll ask you a few questions.
Yeah, correct.
Cam McKenzie had 95 points. I think it was low time on ground from looking at
that's
stats.
60-65%.
So 95 points there is pretty handy. Does he actually suffer when Warple returns, or is he okay?
Maybe in terms of CBAs, he'll suffer. So he'll probably play more outside game. But he had 30 touches. He was Hawthorn's number one possession getter on the ground, I'm pretty sure. So just look really good. I think he had 10 CBAs, and then Day, Newcomb, and Nash had the rest. But I'd say it's more down to Nash was following Callaghan a little bit. So maybe he was starting with wherever Callaghan was in the middle, and McKenzie was that half forward outside wing and then would roll in. Yeah,
interesting they put more attention into Callaghan over Green.
Yeah, I think the last few years it's been Tom Green. And this year they've gone Finn. Yeah. Finn was still pretty good. He only had, he had a 50, but I think overall it's a rough game to be out there.
Yeah, definitely. Nick Watson's had a couple good scores. I think he didn't touch it first round, and then he's put up good numbers ever since.
Bang,
Yeah.
No Connor McDonald. So
that helps,
I think between him and Ginnivan, one of them took that role.
Yeah.
Plus rolling up a little bit higher than one of them normally would.
Ginnivan's just gone absolutely backwards. Is it Ginnivan or Ginnivan? I never know.
Ginnivan.
Okay. But anyway.
Is it? No, I think that's wrong.
Yeah. I feel like he's just not in the game as much. I feel like Watson's playing higher, like playing kind of what the role he played last year, and then he's closer to goal this year. It feels like they've kind of swapped around a bit. So
definitely. I don't know if you saw that pre-season video, Josh, the Full Sweat, the documentary that the Hawks had.
No, I saw bits and pieces.
Yeah, but in that, Ginnivan was dealing with an ankle injury all pre-season. He had like a fracture in his ankle. Yeah. So I think it's partly to do with that, and he's just not 100% yet, and they're obviously rolling through. And Watson looked unreal. Yeah,
no, I've got him on my bench, and I loopholed him last week because they played early. I think it was the Thursday night, but I benched him this week.
But not much you can do about that, though.
What's that?
They're playing Saturday night. Not much you can do about that.
So I don't know. Like, is he someone I could start fielding pretty confidently? You think, or?
Well, I was originally he relies heavily on goals, but this game he only had one or two.
Yeah, one wasn't it? Yeah,
so 20 touches. So
when I was watching, it was just like way further up the ground, like getting touches and 1-2s and handballs and stuff on the the wing and stuff like that. So maybe he's someone I'll actually have a look at. Got a bye this week though. No, does he have a bye this week?
Yeah, Hawks got a bye this week.
So doesn't really work there.
Don't know what I'm going to do with myself on the weekend.
Yeah, well, I've got 4 Hawthorn players on my side, so my undefeated stretch might be over. But anyway.
Okay. So we do like averages. For the
we do best 16, so it still might be okay.
Yeah, nice.
Lockie Ash, 100 points. He's just too good for the podcast. I think, even if he had a low one the other week. Toby Bedford, 96 points, 2 goals. If he can spend more time forward, then I reckon he might be able to bump up his score through goals.
He was tagging Newcomb for a little bit.
Yeah, and then went off him.
Yeah, Newcomb had like 4 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And then sort of left him alone. And
That's just a watch. Up. Like they next week, probably Bedford will just tag again. But if he's going forward and then going into the midfield, like he might be able to find a few extra points, like a few 24s. If you kick 2 goals, might kick goal type thing. Might just add it on to his 60s that he usually gets and push them up to 80s. I don't know.
Just to match up every week.
Maybe.
We'll have a watch.
Yeah. And Connor Iden, 82 points, just seemed to be involved in general play a bit more. I picked him up in my keeper league. Just hopefully he can be a 70s guy. I reckon he can achieve that.
Yeah, definitely.
He's just been quiet the first few weeks. All right, I didn't see a second of the Brisbane versus Geelong Cats game, so this is my deduction from looking at stats and hearing things.
I also didn't watch this game as I was watching the Hawks.
Well, Will Ashgrove had 115 points, and he finally delivered for his owners, I guess, in all formats. How do you feel about that midfield, though? Like, it just feels like there's way too many mouths to feed.
Yeah, they're stacked in there. But Dunkley's scoring well as well.
Dunkley's the tackle guy, though.
Yeah.
Like, he'll get big numbers there. I think that's why he can go consistently. He doesn't rely on getting the share of the possessions as much.
Yeah, well, I'm noticing Berry's playing a lot more wing, half back, outside.
Yeah.
So he's not even going in there anymore. It's McCluggage.
Yeah.
Will Zorko is, I think he's half back as well. Neil, Dunkley. So
yeah.
And Levi's there as well. I don't know. Like it's going to be weeks where I think he goes 70s, 80s, and weeks where he goes 115s, 120s. It's sort of like Port with the half backs. Like just going to have weeks where certain players go off and certain players don't.
Yeah, I think that's the case there. Zach Bailey had 88 points. Just good to see him put up a score. Starting on the wing a lot more this season, which is I guess kind of good, but it can be good for forwards like him who struggle when they are up forward. Like so,
I think it's better for him just to get up the ground and use his legs and then run back.
Yeah, correct. He used to do that from the midfield a bit, but obviously he's not doing that anymore because it's too strong in there. But maybe he can do a similar type thing from the wing. Tom Atkins had 88 points, probably tipping the cap here, but I said during the week he was going to score 150 due to the conditions because he's the tackle man.
Have 30 tackles in the wet.
Yeah, I think he had 14 tackles this week, so didn't quite get the 30, but you'll take 14, I think.
Definitely will.
And Patrick Dangerfield, 88 points. Like I picked him up in a lot of leagues to thinking he would get forward status at some stage, but I think he gets more midfield time when Geelong are struggling.
Yeah, whenever they lose a couple centre-bounces in a row, he just goes straight in there and tries to stem the bleed a little bit.
You just got to hope he spends enough time forward before round 8.
Round 6, I think in round 1 against Freo, he was forward all game, and then that third quarter when Murphy re-kicked 3 or 4, he went straight in the guts, and then I think he was there for the rest of the game. So
hopefully, I don't know what the thresholds are. We'll have to have a look, but hopefully that...
It'd be very close.
Yeah, definitely. All right, on to the Adelaide Crows versus North Melbourne game. I actually went to this game.
Did you?
Jumping ship.
The Crows. Exciting to watch.
Absolutely no way I would ever jump ship. Went with we got free tickets, me and my son. And because he's getting into fantasy, he's made his first team. I think he had 5 players in this game, and I had like Dawson in my keeper league team, Cherry in my keeper league team, Parker in my keeper league team. So let's just go and get around our fantasy players. He was booing the Crows. So he's like a 6-year-old. I was like, people like, mate, you'll get hurt here if you keep doing that. But wonder where he gets that from. But no, it was really good fun.
They're good to watch. I thought North Melbourne were a chance in this game.
They were
early days.
10 points down in the third or at some stage.
Yeah, and then that sort of just fell away.
Yeah. Riley Thilthorpe, 98 points. He's probably too good for the podcast. But I just want to see him against some good defenders, though. Like, I think St Kilda, one of the easiest teams for forwards at the moment. Essendon and North, that's the teams they've played. Like, you've got Griffin Logue and who's the other one?
Aidan
Core.
Charlie Comben.
Yeah, they're not the hardest.
Household names.
They're not the hardest key defenders to play on. So, he's scoring really well. I just worry that against a good side, like if you come up against like a team with a good defense like GWS or Hawthorn now, he might not actually score as well in those games.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that a little bit, but also he's a bit of a monster.
Yeah,
and it does help when you've got Tex and Fogg. So then between the
and
three of them,
they've got Curtin who's not short either, so it kind of does like spread.
He's
out.
an absolute dead-eye man. I don't think he's ever missed a set shot. They said.
Yeah. Well, we've got him in the list here down a sec, but Ben Keys, 97 points. I think he can get himself back up to being an 80 average player. He just works too hard not to be relevant, I
Definitely.
think.
And I think Crows are going to be very good, obviously, with their midfield, so then that allows Keys to just absolutely work his socks off.
Yeah.
And they're going to have games where they're going to kick those goals late and get those cheapies.
And just chatting to Keys, because he's been on the podcast before and stuff like that, you just know he is the hardest worker. And if he's in the midfield, he'll spend hours and hours on the track each week learning how to be a midfielder. And if he knows he's going to be a forward and a forward only, he spends hours and hours and hours learning how to get better as a forward. Because he's not a naturally talented guy. He's just the hardest working guy in the team. So that's why it gives me confidence. Also a really nice guy, Ben Keys.
Great bloke.
Yeah, great bloke.
That's what you want. You just want someone that just absolutely half forwards like I said sort of before, those half forwards that work so high and then they work their absolute socks off back.
Yeah.
It just sets your whole team up for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, he can actually get back to being a good scorer regardless of like not being a midfielder anymore. So, Ben Keys, I reckon he's one to pick up if he's available, but probably taking him most leagues. Tex Walker, 82 points. 4 goals playing on the big pink eye.
Pinky. Yeah.
That's another one, like another household name. So like, again, weak defense. Like I've picked him up with my second to last pick. And I think first week he was subbed out of the game.
Yeah.
Which I still think is a real risk, given he's old.
He's older, yeah. They want to look up, especially if they're winning games by heaps. Because Rankin got subbed out in round 2, so Crow's obviously managing.
Well, I had to play Tex because I don't think I had another forward this week. And I was like, he's definitely getting subbed out of this game. And then Rochelle got injured, so like it kind of killed that. So like, you're probably pretty like, most weeks there's an injury, you know?
Yeah,
like, so
definitely there is.
Yeah, so you'd have to probably be unlucky that he gets subbed out. But it could happen. He's probably first in line to go if they have a clean injury. Deal, so.
Just depends on the matchup as well. It's just so good being a forward at the Crows because the way that they exit stoppage at the front of stoppage, it just allows the forwards to just lead out the ball and like there's no one in front of you. So I think Tex is a great get. Same as Thorpe and Keys and
definitely. If you're like a good attacking team that's kicking big scores each week, like happy days. Yeah, fantasy. Again, just want to see it against good teams. And then I'll be more convinced.
I think they will.
All right, good. Dan Curtin, 81 points. Well, the thing is, they come up against Gold Coast this week up there.
That'd be a good matchup.
Yeah, like it could be tricky, like especially if the conditions are.
I think Crows always play well against Gold Coast. They always have. I mean,
Gold Coast, I think, feel like just are a different beast this year.
Yeah,
like
it'll be a great midfield battle actually.
Yeah, exactly. Dan Curtin's the other one. 81 points, 2 goals. Worked up the ground a lot too. 2 goals to get to 80. Probably not the best for fantasy.
He rucked a little bit as well.
He rucked a bit.
Yeah.
I was watching. I didn't realise that. So
pretty sure. I'll have to check my numbers.
No, you're probably right. I was dealing with a 6-year-old all day. So it does. We were actually watching Cherry a lot on the bench. Making sure we could see him getting a rub, and we'd probably spend 5 minutes just seeing if he's coming back on because we were pretty concerned. So maybe we did miss a bit then. Anyway, Jai Simpkin, 117 points. Not sure I've declared him too good for the podcast, but I think he's there.
He's there,
mid forward.
Because he's finally getting some consistent footy. He's not injured. And I think he's playing that role, sort of like Keezer, where he's playing that half forward, working his socks off role. And I think that suits him a lot more than just trying to be an inside mid.
But then he pushes up from the forward line anyway. And Luke Parker's probably pretty close to too good for the podcast as well. So
I just think last year he was obviously on the outer.
Yeah, he's going to be low 80s average. But that's, I think, what we all expected.
Yeah.
And
as a forward, take that.
Absolutely. Every day of the week. All right, on to the last game of the round. Not a lot to talk about here either. Ryan Marich, 101 points. He's kind of transitioned to a halfback role. This is a forward. I think it's 51% owned on keeper this morning.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a bit higher than that.
Yeah, well, I think you will be after today.
Yeah.
After the actual waivers process.
Looked awesome, especially the way West Coast are moving the ball, man. It's so slow.
Yeah.
Lots of marks. And then McGovern hurt his groin as well.
Yeah.
So I think They want the ball in his hands.
I think he had a heap of kickouts again.
Yeah.
I think he had 9 or something as well.
Yeah.
So,
He's a star.
So he was fine. Liam Baker, 81 points. Probably too good for the podcast, but it just shows it's hard for any West Coast player to score. Liam Duggan's just doing nothing.
Yeah, I know.
I think they had 100, which was Marich. They had Liam Baker 80, and the rest were all in the 60s and below type thing. So it's
Baker was getting inside mid-time, start the CBAs.
Yeah.
And Sarong was unreal again. I don't know why they didn't tag Sarong. Yeah, your best player.
The commentary was saying why wouldn't you tag him?
At least just put someone on him or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And then onto the Freo. Luke Jackson, obviously 102 points. If he's rucking solo, he's fine, but Darcy's going to come back.
Darcy needs to go.
Yeah, they need to trade one of them.
If you're an owner of Jackson, you should be walking down to Fremantle's CEO and telling him to trade Sean Darcy.
I thought you were going to say bring a baseball bat so he doesn't come back or something like that. So, but anyway, it needs to be the number one ruck. Really,
send him to Geelong.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that's the one they need him. And then Nathan O'Driscoll, I think, is too good for the podcast now as well.
Definitely.
99 points. I don't see his role changing regardless of who comes back. He's on that wing and he scores from the wing. He did play inside mid first round, but he's still scoring from that outside role.
So, he looks great.
Yeah, kicks goals too.
If you've got him, you'd be absolutely buzzing because he's going to keep that role forever, I'd say.
All right, let's get through the listener questions so I don't keep you too long. Your brother's always asking a question each week. I love it.
Yeah, Geordie loves it, man.
I know. Geordie is a fantasy nuffy, isn't he?
Massive fantasy nuffy.
Before he is a podcaster or anything, he's just a purist.
Just a pure fantasy
loves
nuffy.
It. He reckons is it Humphrey's season or have we just seen him in 2 good matchups? What do you think?
Nah, it's Humphrey season.
What do you reckon he averages from here? I reckon he goes 80.
Yeah, I was going to say 75 to 80.
Yeah.
If I was, being generous, I'd say 80.
Yeah.
Just to be safe, because I feel there'll be some weeks where maybe this has a bad one.
Yeah, true. I like the 75 to 80 range.
The reason Geordie's saying that is because I had Humphrey last year.
Of
and
course.
I traded him, and now Geordie's got him. So,
no. He wants him to have a massive year.
Yeah.
Classic.
Geordie just picks up any work I talk about, Geordie picks him up and then rubs it in my face that he's got these blokes and demands massive trades.
Oh, that's awesome. Anyway, the next one is, did Marriage hit targets from Major Van Bam? Did Marriage hit targets and will he keep the role? I think he has 75% disposal efficiency.
Yeah.
So.
He keeps that role, definitely. Yeah. There's no one else.
Yeah, exactly.
And they want the ball in his hands.
And I think they want to play Baker in other roles as well.
Yeah.
So, it helps. At Major Van Bam, again, is Mackenzie getting mid-time over Ward, or are they swapping?
No, so Mackenzie had 10 CBAs, Ward had 3.
Yeah.
I'd say Ward's more outside
Looks
winger.
like more an outside type,
And Mackenzie's going to be that more inside type.
Yeah.
I would say Mackenzie's the nod, especially with Warple, because when Warple was there, Mackenzie was playing and Ward was playing 2s.
Yeah.
So when Warple comes back, I'd say Ward's on the cusp.
Yeah, I reckon that's right. And P-Rex, one of the best contributors on the Discord server, gets a lot of conversation going. The Discord wouldn't be the same without P-Rex, and now all the other guys in the gold member chat can give him shit for being a fanboy, like he does with the other ones. But anyway, he wants to know, which struggling teams do you see moving towards a different game style, trying something different, firing their coach, I hope that happens soon, and which fantasy relevant players will this affect either positively or negatively? I don't really know. Like Carlton need to do something different. Yeah, they're so slow.
Well, Mackay and Elijah Hollands both played in a trial game with the VFL on Saturday, Mitch Cleary said. So they're both probably not far away from coming back. So that changes their probably structure a little bit.
But everyone's commenting on how slow they move the ball and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
like, do they need to do something different? Like, will Voss survive if they lose anymore? Like, and then will that change? I think Carlton are probably ones. And then I think their midfield just scores better if that's the case. Like, I think someone like Walsh and those kind of guys will probably be better.
I think Walsh is underdone.
Yeah.
Every season he sort of comes in with an injury or something. So,
But if you look at the other Australian teams, like West Coast are trying to figure out, I guess, a style under a new coach.
Yeah,
so that's probably
I think
not going to be changing
West
anytime
Coast,
soon.
West Coast won't change anything.
Port are also trying a new style, and they're just probably overusing the handball too much. They won too many times.
And we've seen in the past like that they're not going to sack Ken. They'll stick to this plan that they've got with Carr until,
I reckon there might be a point. I'm probably wishful thinking, but if there comes to a point where there's no chance we make finals, like all the fans, like all my supported mates and that, it's like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we treading water for a whole season? Why aren't we just giving Carr the keys to the reign? Like, you know what I mean? And just let's go. Like, let's just start now under him. Like, why are we doing this season? Because we got Tassie around the corner. That are going to just eat up the draft, all that sort of stuff. Like, we need to kind of start working out what we're doing next. Like, we can't really waste a year. Like, that's what a lot of Port supporters think. I reckon if there's enough noise, we might see a switch there and then go into full Josh Carr game mode from there. So,
well, I think any other club would. I just think Port won't,
because we were gutless.
Board. Yeah, I just think it's just
gutless board.
You just won't make a call.
Nah, David Koch hates making hard decisions. Yeah, he's there to reduce the debt, and then hopefully which is over probably this year. And I'm hoping he sails off into the sunset and never goes near the club again. Anyway, I can see you getting the real awkward face here.
I was just thinking, you're a Crows man now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, went over to watch the Crows. I'm a fantasy man first and foremost these days. On the weekend, I wasn't even upset that Port were really losing because my fantasy players were going so well. So I was having a great time watching it. It's fine. Anyways, we might wrap it up there. So thank you, Matty, so much for coming on and giving us some time on your Monday.
Thanks for having me.
Do this for us. No worries. Get around you at Matty D'Sena on the X.
That's
the
me, mate, on Twitter.
Yeah.
Normally tweeting about rookies or Camden McIntosh. So.
Yeah, one of the two. Exclusive with those things, nothing else.
That's it.
Get around our stuff at Keep League Pod on all the socials. Get around our YouTube channel. Sign up as a member, support the show. There's a link in the description below. Check out the YouTube show with Checkers on the Marmalade channel. I think that's everything I need to plug. So thanks once again for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.